Right. Good morning, everyone. I see everyone joining in. Good morning to all our participants. Thank you for joining us for our July Outdoor Florida webinar hosted by the Office of Greenways and Trails. My name is Gabrielle Stewart, and today we are featuring Megan Eidel, Manager for Sarasota County Parks and Recreation and National Resources, Natural Areas, and Trail Divisions. Before we get into the webinar, I have a couple of reminders for today's presentation. At the end of the presentation, we will have a question and answer portion, so please hold all questions until then. You can use the chat tab to write in your questions, and please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available to view on the Florida State Parks YouTube channel and our website in the future. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our guest speaker. Megan began her career in the trail world working for Florida Trail Association on the Florida National Scenic Trail as the volunteer program coordinator for a statewide volunteer program. She has worked for Sarasota County since 2016 and started as the trail coordinator on the Legacy Trail, which is at the time was a 10-mile trail with only one staff member. Megan. Now, the Legacy Trail and its connectors are nearly 30 miles long and several additional trailheads and is managed by Megan and her team of 7. Over the years, Megan has overseen a fast-growing trail program, applied for and received several grants, worked closely with friends, groups, and took part in the design and construction of the Legacy Trail Extension project. So I want to thank you again, Megan, for taking time to speak out on our webinar today. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. So I see you're sharing your screen and you can begin your presentation.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Eidel, as she mentioned, with Sarasota County Parks, Recreation, Natural Resources. I'm the manager too. I oversee our natural area parks and our trails. And today I will be talking to you all about the Legacy Trail. We're going to be going over kind of the beginning, the history, where we are today, a little bit about the Legacy Trail extension and what that looked like. We'll talk about current projects, some of our programs, some challenges we see, some future connections that we're looking at, and then kind of how we got here and how we've been successful. So for those of you, I'm not sure where everyone is from, so I figured I'd start by a big overview of where we are located. The Legacy Trail is located in Sarasota County on the west coast of Florida. The trail goes from Venice, the city of Venice, into downtown Sarasota. So for the history, the Legacy Trail is a former railroad corridor. It hosted the Seabourn Airline Railway in 1911. It actually had the trains for the Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Circus, and the last passenger train ran in 1971, and it's been inactive since 1992. So the original acquisition of the trail, which went from Venice to South Sarasota Culver House Nature Park, that was acquired in 2004 with partnership with Trust for Public Land. The trail, that first section of trail, opened in 2008. It was just over 10 miles of trail, 12 feet long, or 12 feet wide, excuse me. And that was a really exciting time for Venice and Sarasota. A lot of people were just getting the taste of getting on those multi-use trails and recreating, and we saw a lot of use. Back at that time, we had around 150,000 to 220 users. That was actually in like 2016. So 8 years from the opening. Then in 2018, on November 6th, we had a referendum where Sarasota County residents voted to secure a $65 million bond referendum for the extension of the Legacy Trail. It was going to provide about 7.5 miles of trail into downtown Sarasota. The acquisition itself was around 9 miles, and that also included connections to the city of Northport. This referendum process was much longer than just that 2018. It started well before, with a lot of energy and community support around it. That referendum passed with, like, I want to say it was 72% pass rate. So the residents voted to tax themselves to extend the trail. That extension was completed in 2022. We had 77.5 new miles of trail, and that kind of brings us where we are today. A little bit more about the extension corridor. It was in inactive railroad, that same railroad line, 9 miles. The acquisition was 9 miles. It included 2 bridges, and that's not including overpasses over roads. Those are true bridges. It went through the city of Sarasota and the city of Northport. We started out with over 200 encroachments, so that was a big, lengthy, fun process. And truly, this project was fast-paced, and it involved almost every area of the county. We had transportation, we had public works, we had stormwater, we had fiber optics. Every division, department in the county was involved in this project. These are just some photos. The first photo is from the segment 3 opening. The extension construction was done in segments, and we had a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting for every segment. And then the bottom photo is our partner group, the Friends of the Legacy Trail, who I will mention further in the presentation. This is just more photos of that extension. It was a big community thing. Every celebration we had, there was several people who showed up. This is kind of an example of what the construction looked like and some of the amenities that came with it, which I'll talk more about. So that brings us to where we are today. The Legacy Trail is an asphalt paved trail. It's about nearly 18 miles, goes from City of Venice to downtown Sarasota. The trail ranges from 12 to 14 feet wide. We have several stop stations, which is that photo down there. It's covered areas with benches, a kiosk with community board information, and bike repair stations. It travels over water. It goes over Donna Bay and Roberts Bay through several neighborhoods, Oscar Shear State Park. So there's a lot of varied landscape. And in 2004, we had nearly 650,000 users. So we've seen tremendous growth, and that just continues to grow. The trail today is also part of the Florida Gulf Coast Trail, which when completed and they've closed all those gaps, that will span from Hillsborough to Collier County. And the City of Venice was recently named a Florida Greenways and Trail Town, which is wonderful and very fitting. The Legacy Trail begins, that southern terminus begins in the City of Venice at the Venice Train Depot. So we're really excited about that. One thing that I think makes the Legacy Trail special is the trailheads along the way. With that referendum, we installed 3 new trailheads. That's the top 3, Ashton, Sarasota Springs, and Pompano. And they all just have incredibly wonderful playgrounds. Pompano has lighted pickleball courts. They're just a great starting point. I mean, I've seen families with huge buckets full of kids and helmets bike to their playground, and it's just a really great community amenity. In Pompano, the pickleball courts are constantly packed. Some other amenities that you will find on the trail, we have several bike repair stations. We have 911 emergency decals. When we did the extension, a local company, Turvis Tumbler, donated all of our recycled plastic benches and trash receptacles. So that was a really awesome partnership. They have their logo engraved in the recycled benches. We have pavilions, grills, playgrounds at several of the trailheads. We have several trail counters along the trail, including a totem that tells you how many people have ran the trail today and the year. Some current projects, and very current, just last week, actually, these opened to pedestrians. We, FDOT, constructed 2 pedestrian overpasses over Clark and Bee Ridge. If you're not familiar with the area, these are very busy roads, high use traffic. During construction, they had to add a traffic light. So when these opened to pedestrians, everyone was very thrilled, pedestrians and cars alike. So these opened last week. They're not quite finished. They're still wrapping up construction on like the underneath part, but they are open to pedestrians. And then we are in some design and planning phase for 3 additional overpasses at Bay Vista, Tuttle, and Beneva. Currently total with Clark and Bee Ridge, we have 2 other pedestrian overpasses, so we're now at 4. And I think that's really important. You know, Sarasota is a busy area, and we do cross a lot of intersections on the trail. So having these pedestrian overpasses just improves safety tremendously and separates users from vehicles, and it's been a good success. That's just an overview of Bee Ridge and kind of what that looks like. Another project we are actively working towards, we applied for a recreational trail program grant a couple years ago to install a bifurcated trail on adjacent to the Legacy Trail. When the extension was designed, it was designed to have this separate path along majority of the extension. And this grant is tackling one section of that. It's about a 1.5 mile section from Beneva to Shade. It will be, the current trail is 14 feet wide. This will be a separate 6-foot wide path that has a median in the middle, like a grass median. And it will separate user groups. So you'll have your 15-mile-per-hour cyclists on the 14-foot trail, and then you'll have your walkers and runners and dog walkers on that separate walking path. We hope that this will help kind of separate user groups, increase the user experience and safety, and decrease conflict. So we're excited to get that rolling. We should be under construction, hopefully before the end of the year. And that should move pretty quickly. So we're excited to finally get that project going. This is just a little bit more information about the bifurcated trail. As you can see, the picture on the left is the existing trail with kind of that prepped area for that second path to go in. And then on the right's kind of the concept of what that will look like. Challenges. I know whenever I sit on these webinars, I kind of enjoy hearing what other people deal with and how they deal with them. So I thought I'd touch on some of the challenges we see. So in a second, I'm also going to talk about connectors. And one of our connectors is the Venetian Waterway Park, which connects at the southern end of the trail. And that is a completely concrete trail. We see a lot of challenges. There's a lot of maintenance use that goes on there. There's wells, and the property is maintained by West Coast Inland Navigational District. So there's a lot of trucks that end up on there. We're constantly chasing down broken concrete and trying to get it fixed and identify how it's happening and try to prevent it in the future. We also have the challenge of, with the existing Legacy Trail, there are like a shoulder drop off from erosion and years of water running off the trail. So we're currently trying to find different ways to address that, test out different sections to see what works. But that's a pretty big job that we need to tackle. We also deal with unauthorized access on the trail. We've had vehicles end up on the trail. Typically, we find that it's on accident. It's not intentional. Google Maps sent them there. They didn't know they were there. That's majority of what we hear. And then, of course, e-bikes and speeding. E-bikes are allowed on the trail, but our speed limit is 15 miles per hour. And of course, as everyone knows, e-bikes have evolved into 100 different things that could be an e-bike. So that's just an interesting challenge. And then I would say signal crossings is another challenge. As I mentioned, we have a lot of intersection crossings, and trying to change behavior to get people to push the button, because a lot of times they don't want to push a button, is something we're constantly trying to work towards. And then the final one we have listed is encroachments. We're constantly chasing down, we have all these homeowners along the trail and everyone wants connection to the trail. So we see people trying to build those connections on county property, which isn't allowed. And it's a pretty lengthy process to deal with all of that. Trail connections. So we had the referendum, but it doesn't stop there. We are constantly trying to grow. There's the Florida Gulf Coast Trail that is trying to continue, and our connections just keep growing, and we want more people out there on safe, separated paths. So it doesn't stop there. This is the Venetian Waterway Park that I mentioned. That's concrete. It's to the south, the southern end of the Legacy Trail. It hugs each side of the Intracoastal Waterway. It's less than 5 miles on each side. And that terminus ends at Shamrock Park, which is a really awesome park to check out wildlife. So it's a great place to start and end your trip. Then with the extension I mentioned, that included connections to Northport. So we have the Northport connector to the east. You access the Northport connector via like bike lanes and MIRT trails from the Legacy Trail. And then once you get to the Northport connector, there's 3 different routes you can take. There's the South Power Line, which is a hard pack shell trail. And then the Northport connector, which is your Legacy Trail-like experience. And then the Alphabet Trail, which is a natural surface trail through the Deer Prairie Creek Preserve, which is a really beautiful spot. That project ended at Price Boulevard, but we, as part of the project, we designed 90% to Warm Mineral Springs, which, as you can see, Price Boulevard's right there. And now the city of Northport is kind of taking the lead on finishing up that connection. So that'll be really great once the Northport connector will take folks to Warm Mineral Springs and into Northport. Then we have the connection to Nathan Benderson Park. I don't want to dive too much into all of this because I don't know how familiar people are with the area. But as you can see, the Legacy Trail is down in the bottom left corner. And this connection is truly a huge collaboration between Friends of Legacy Trail, Trust for Public Lands, Gulf Coast Community Foundation, City of Sarasota, and Sarasota County to make this happen. There's a lot of moving parts, but we're chipping away to make this connection, and that'll be another awesome connection for our area, getting people further north. So volunteering, this is our programs on the Legacy Trail. We have some amazing volunteers. We have a program called the Trail Ambassador Program that's been around for a while now. And that is a volunteer. They can make their own schedule and they can they just go ride the trail, and they provide information to users if they're if they're looking for where to go, what to do, where they are. The ambassadors will stop and talk to them and are a friendly face to help them. And then also they help us. They're kind of our eyes and ears on the trail sometimes, where if we've created this reporting system where if they see something that needs to be fixed or are seeing a trend in a certain area or run across vandalism, they send us a form and we get it immediately and we can get that addressed pretty quickly. So that's been a great success and a really huge help for our team. Then we have the Surrey and Pedicab program. That's the pedicab. This is our Surrey. That's our old Surrey, actually. The Surrey program began with the Friends of the Legacy Trail, and they donated the Surrey to us. And the pedicab program was led by the Friends of Osprey Junction Trailhead, and they donated the pedicab to us. And these are volunteer-led programs. One of them is a 6-passenger Surrey, which is now the Friends of Legacy Trail recently purchased and donated an e-assist Surrey because they're pretty big and heavy and move really slow. So we have an e-assist Surrey and the pedicab, and this is actually a very popular program. It runs from January to April, and volunteers pedal it, and we get people out on the trail that might not otherwise be able to. It's very popular. We get raving reviews. It's free. It's a free county program, and it's been really successful. Then we have visitor service assistant. We have a visitor service center that we're trying to get taken off at Osprey Junction Trailhead. So it's a place you can come in and get air conditioning, pull some pamphlets, and speak to someone and ask questions. And then, of course, trail maintenance. We also have a trail notice that we send out that we only send out if we have something to say. Anyone can sign up for it. Usually it's people that use the trail. And the stuff that we're sending out are trail closures, maintenance notices, notification of large events that might be occurring on the trail. And we have an open rate for this of over 70%, which is actually very high for an e-blast. So that's really been successful for us to get our word out, have a quick response for maintenance updates, because sometimes we'll be doing maintenance all along the trail and every day it's a different location. So we're able to like live update where that work is occurring. So that's also been a really great asset for us. Community support. We would not be here today without our partners. We have Friends of the Legacy Trail, which is a 501c3 who they focus on the Legacy Trail, and I'll be talking about them in a second. Friends of Osprey Junction Trailhead, they're more focused on one of our trailheads where they've got the visitor center up and running, and that's been really fun. And then Friends of Sarasota County Parks. I wanted to highlight the Friends of the Legacy Trail. Their mission statement exists to support, promote, and enhance the Legacy Trail. They're membership based. They support small and large scale projects. So, I mean, they've helped us with the feasibility study for the extension, NEPA permitting, matching funds for our grants. We have the bifurcated trail grant, as well as a Trail Go grant, where we're procuring a robotic mower that will help us with slope mowing, and then radar feedback signs along the trail, which I didn't mention in this presentation. And then, so anywhere from like very large financial assistance to, signs and safety and 911 decals, native plantings, the e-assist Surrey, they are truly a partner in success. They are out on the trail weekly during season, providing information, spreading the word, and really like championing the trail. When we had the extension, they all wore these bright yellow shirts and no one could miss them. They would show up in these yellow shirts and they got everyone's attention. Commissioners, they were just a force to be reckoned with. And they are truly how we got to where we are, and how the community has really just picked up the Legacy Trail and made it what it is today. And then this is actually my last slide, I think. Yeah. I guess I just want to end by saying in the past 8 years, we've just grown tremendously. We went from having a referendum, extending the trail, adding overpasses, 3 overpasses in the past 8 years, and just growing. And and we continue to grow. We continue to find connections and extensions to continue getting people outside, off the roads, and into nature. That is all.
Thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I think everyone can agree that was a lot of information that
Yeah.
trail goers can utilize. I hope everyone is feeling encouraged to visit the Legacy Trail. At this time, we're going to open the floor for questions. So feel free to type those in the chat at this time. We do have a couple already to start with. So my first question is, does Legacy Trail have any upcoming events or community gatherings that trail goers can attend?
Good question. I don't think we have anything coming up. This is, oh, actually, I'm wrong. We have the ribbon cutting, the grand opening for the 2 overpasses, Bee Ridge and Clark Road, on July 21st. Typically, summer is a slower time, but we do have that event coming up.
Okay, awesome. So if anyone would like to attend that, or you have a friend that's in the area, they can definitely attend that. And then my second question is, what amenities is the Legacy Trail most popular for as of right now? I know you said that in 2024 you guys had over 600,000 people visiting. So is there anything that trail goers specifically like gravitate to?
Good question. I don't know if I have a good answer. I want to say, like, when I've been on the trail and met people, I have personally met people who move here to Florida
Mhm.
to be able to bike year round. I think that's something to be said for Florida. We
Mhm.
forget that in other areas it snows. So in here, people can bike year round. We have really great places that you can start and really make a trip out of it. I mean, biking from Venice even to downtown Sarasota, there's incredible restaurants and incredible things to do. And it's a great day or weekend trip. We also have Oscar Shears State Park, which is a really rare and beautiful site. I mean, that's probably my favorite section of trail. People can start there, camp there, and hit the trail. I wouldn't say that I think it's just the trail in general.
Yeah. Yeah, that's understandable. I actually didn't know all the amenities that you guys had, and I'm actually interested in going myself. So yeah, I
There
can't
you
wait for
go.
that. Yeah. And then RJ Miotti says, excellent presentation, Megan. I hope that we can post this on our website. Will the grand opening for the bridges at Clark will be at Clark or Bee Ridge?
Though that grand opening will be at Clark on the northwest side of the trail. So that will be at Clark.
Okay, perfect. And then RBOGUE says, were the volunteer groups initiated / encouraged by Sarasota or entirely grassroots?
That's a good question. I came on in 2016, and I know at the time they were a chapter of Friends of Sarasota County Parks. And they broke off shortly after that to form their own 501c3. Back in the day, I think I recall that they were just probably like a handful of people who were really passionate about this project. And so I want to say it was entirely grassroots. There might have been like some other people from the community and municipalities that were like a part of that process, but it was pretty grassroots.
Okay. And Rob Jackson would like to know, why was the name Legacy Trail chosen?
So that's a really good question. I wasn't there when it happened, but I have heard that they were at a commission meeting to come up with a name. And I want to say several names were presented. And then I want to say it was the director at the time of Parks Recreation, said, throughout the Legacy Trail, because this is truly a legacy for our community.
That's good. If there are any other questions, we'll be happy to answer them. If not, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Thank you again, Megan, for your presentation. If anyone here is not yet subscribed to our monthly webinar series, you can do so on our website at floridadep.gov/OGT. Next month, we will be featuring the Florida Birding and Wildlife Trail with more information to come. If you have any questions or feedback about today's webinar or the Outdoor Florida webinar series, feel free to email us at officeofgreenwaysandtrails@floridadep.gov. Thank you again for joining, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thanks.
Have a good one.